Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Take a Look at Lunar Flight. As you can see, this is a game by Sean Edwards. I never trust anybody as a rule who has two first names, but I'll make an exception to play this game. So this is kind of a modern recreation of Lunar Lander, the old game. I don't even know what console it came out on, to be honest with you. And maybe it was originally an arcade game of Lunar Lander. Lunar Lander was basically like you controlled a lunar lander and you had to get from one place to another. And the hook of the game was the physics of it that were different than, you know, the physics that you would expect on Earth. It was supposed to somewhat accurately, or at least differently model how flight would be on the moon as opposed to flight on Earth. So this is like that reimagined with much better graphics, obviously, in a more simulaty kind of context. So we will get started here. My pilot is Moonbro, as you might expect based on my bro naming convention. And this is going to put us in control of a lunar lander, and we have various missions that we can do, like survey missions to collect data, or cargo transport missions. So this is kind of like less NASA, more like some far-flung future Wayland Yutani Corporation style moon base. Hopefully that reference made sense to some people. But anyway, it's important for me to learn these simulations just in case, you know, like an asteroid is found to be hurtling towards the Earth and YouTube decides to send a team of Let's Players up there to drill on it. Someone's got to land that, so that someone is going to be me. The first thing we're going to do is accept a mission, and I'm going to accept a survey mission first. So our objective, acquire data at the survey location. This gives us $2,000, some pilot experience, and a little bit of extra money if we do it well. You can see, you know, Moonbro's doing pretty good. Despite being a highly trained and specialized astronaut, he's minus $25,000 in his bank account. So, you know, a quarter of $100,000 in debt. That was probably the most awkward way I could have possibly explained that. Just because I keep crashing my lander. But I've gone to flight school, the in-game flight school, or the browser-based flight school. I think I understand how to fly now, so we're going to make this happen. I'm going to accept this. I'm going to select my nav point, so this will automatically set my nav point to where I need to go. Okay, so the nav point is set. Let's go full screen HUD view. There we go. Now, where is our nav here? Okay, it's just by this base, as you can see. Now, without getting too Khan Academy, I'm going to explain what's going to happen here. We're going to go to LOPTW. This is our liftoff power to weight. Now, this is going to explain how much thrust power we need in order to maintain like a steady altitude or a steady hover. So we can see that for our thrust power, we have no upgrades, so it's just going to be our first one here, like level 0 basically. And we are at base because we have no cargo, as you can see here. Cargo hold empty. So that means if you look on the grid here, 0 and base, we need 36 thrust power to counter gravity, which is going to allow us to hover. So the first thing we want to do, get some liftoff. Right trigger on the Xbox 360 controller, alternatively spacebar on the computer. You can use either. I'm using the 360 controller because apparently I always do. Now we are just going to lift off a little bit here, lift off a little bit more just for kicks, and then I'm going to try to get my power level that you can see there down to 36. If I could just get it close enough, okay, that'll be okay. So now we have it at 36, but if you look over here, this vector here shows that we are still climbing vertically at 0.08 meters per second. So we want that to be 0 if we're going to hover. So what I'm going to do is quickly turn off my liftoff power to weight, thrust hold, wait for this to hit 0. There we go. Now we've got a good hover. Okay. Now by using the left joystick on the Xbox 360 controller, I can now push us forward. You can see we're burning fuel pretty quickly here, but hopefully we'll have enough to get there. We are, if you look in the bottom right corner, about 180 meters away. So I'm going to put our velocity up to about 2 meters per second. And remember, we are in space here, so if you set your velocity towards 2 meters per second, there's inertia that's going to allow you to continue at that velocity because there's not a whole lot holding you back. So at 2 meters per second, with us being about 140 meters away, this will take us about 70 seconds to get there, and obviously as we get closer we will work towards getting a little bit lower and then staying within this right place, or within that sphere. Now there are two different kinds of missions, and I talked about them briefly. One of them is survey, and one of them is transport. I was going to say data collection, but the survey is data collection. Okay. I am going to reduce power a little bit here, and reduce velocity, because we are getting pretty close to this. And hopefully, full disclosure, I have never completed a mission in Lunar Flight yet. This will be the day. I swear to God. I went to flight school. I did the hard work. Okay, we're at 1 meter per second here. We're dropping altitude, which is good, at about 0.1 meter per second. And as you can see, based on the nav point camera survey in the bottom right, we're getting closer. But we are starting to run out of fuel a little bit, and that scares me. So we're about a minute away from our drop zone here. I have no idea what to call it, to be honest with you. Continuing to fall, and actually I could change my camera a little bit at this point to figure out, let's go back to our 4 view here to figure out how close we are. This is not the best camera angle, but it gets the job done sometimes. I think we're still doing fairly well here, despite the fact that we are losing a lot of fuel. Alright, so we're getting very close to this now. I'm going to reduce my velocity a little bit more. Let's take it down to about, you know, 0.5 meter per second. Okay. So now this will take us about a minute to get in position, but in terms of height, I think we're doing okay. We'll just take a look at our V camera. I thought I lost my V camera in college, but I guess not. Let's see. Okay, we're getting fairly close here. Now we want to stay in this sphere. I should actually increase my power a little bit. And we want to stay in this sphere for 10 seconds. And this is going to allow us to get enough data to, you know, take back to our Peter Whalen CEO type character, who will hopefully give us money and reduce this, like, slave labor that he's got us in simply because of the fact that I apparently cannot fly a Lunar Lander very well. Okay, we're going to reduce speed even more. Let's acquire data now. It's going to take us 10 seconds, during which we have to stay in the sphere. So as long as I don't get out of the sphere, I think I can get this data. Awesome. Okay, achievement unlocked. That's the first time I've actually acquired data. Now we are going to point ourselves back towards Moonbase Alpha here, as indicated by that compass-looking thing in the bottom. Come on. Here we go. Okay. I overshot that a little bit. And we're just going to push forward and hope that we have enough fuel to get back there. I mean, it's possible that I don't, to be 100% honest with you. I mean, we've already used like 600 tons of fuel. I'm not sure if that... It's not 600 tons. I'm not sure what the T stands for. But I doubt our Lunar Lander is holding like 1,000 tons of fuel when it takes off. And we're just going to crank our velocity basically through the roof. Because again, I will allow inertia to carry me most of the way. And this is by far the best I've ever done in a mission. Again, maybe a chance to get out of indentured servitude here. And I'll talk about my actual overall impressions of the game after this mission, you know, succeeds or fails, one way or the other. So if I could just get here... What's our distance now? I should take out my nav camera. Only 100, so I should really reduce speed. I'm going way too fast. We'll go back to about 1.5 meters per second. Actually, a little bit lower, I think, even. And we definitely have to reduce power as well. So I will just allow this to get down to a little bit less than 0. Okay, there we go. This is much better. We're only about 74 meters per away, but we're getting into kind of a difficult situation here. Pretty soon the fuel light's going to start yelling at me. I hate when that happens. And we're just going to bring ourselves in here and hope that I can get this on the landing pad. This is 100 times harder to land than Microsoft Flight. That should go without saying. Alright, I'm traveling in like a weird direction here, which I don't like. Yep, there's my fuel. I am probably going to run out of fuel and crash. But we'll see. Okay, just get a little bit closer. Like, I'm kind of rotating around the landing pad right now, which is not what I want. Let's get low. Because we've got them apple-bottom jeans and the boots with the fur. Just come on, crank up that speed a little bit. Okay, we can still do this. Oh god, no we can't. With only like 80 liters of fuel. I assume it's in liters. Everything else in this game is in metric. Oh god, we're gonna crash into the ground. No, 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 pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Oh, this is not good. You got it. We got it. Alright, instead, actually, we are going to explode. And that is how all my missions fail, and that is how you end up in debt to NASA. Although, you know, frankly, this is like the 6th one I've crashed, so for me to only be down like $23,000 is not that bad. So we're going to reset here, and I'll talk a little bit about my impressions of Lunar Flight. This is now available for $8 on Steam, but that's because of its opening week sale. It's actually going to be $10 full price for, you know, most of the people watching this, because that sale will be over at the end of this week. Really interesting game, let's put it that way. There's not a lot of depth to it. Like, so far I've only seen 2 types of missions, as I said, and there's only 6 missions, although, to be fair, more might become available after you complete some of these, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But there are, like, also time trials as well, so there's, like, some Mario Kart style stuff. But the depth in this game doesn't come from, like, the missions that they present to you. The depth comes from, like, the engine that they have created. And this is quite clearly, like, a very complex game to gain any kind of proficiency in, as you can see. Like, it's very difficult. It's not intuitive, I should say, to fly a Lunar Lander, as you might expect. And that is kind of fun. It's kind of an interesting gameplay experience, and there's not a lot of space simulators like this. I'm not going to say any more, because I'm not trying to refer to things like Freelancer or a Wing Commander and stuff like that. But this is just a fairly hard space simulator that also feels quite realistic, if that makes any sense at all. Which is kind of cool. I'm sure there's probably not somebody from NASA watching this, but, you know, for the sake of my commentary, I'm sure there's somebody from NASA watching this who's like, Psh, Moon Bro, you think it's hard to fly a Lunar Lander in the game? Bitch, I was on the moon in 1973, that shit was impossible. We were using Tandy. Okay, but I digress. As someone who plays a lot of hard games, this is still a hard game for me. I think we should try one more mission, and I'll see if I can actually, like, refine my technique. I would love to just land. And, you know, maybe I'll do some more Khan Academy as I explain, you know, what the heck is going on here. So let's go back to our HUD view, and for missions, we'll take Mission 1, Lost Cargo. Actually, no, let's just take a transport mission. There we go. So I guess there are 3 different kinds of mission. Lost Cargo, where you have to pick up cargo, data surveys, and transport missions. So we'll take this Mission 2 transport mission. Transport 4,000 cargo to Delta Base for $5,000. Well, okay, we'll try. Accept. Set nav point, thank you very much. Nav point is straight ahead, but a great distance. You can see almost a kilometer away. Actually, no, almost half a kilometer away. Now, for this, we're gonna have to look at our cargo first. Cargo is 4,000. So we'll go to liftoff power and wait. 4,000, we need 45.5 power to maintain our hover. So first we'll thrust up, get some liftoff, and then we'll try to match our power at 45.5, or a reasonably close estimate. Oh, that wasn't good. Here we go. Okay, 45, that's pretty good. We'll up that to 45.5. Briefly cut our thrust lock to try to get our vertical velocity down to 0. Excellent. Now we can move forward. And I guess we're just gonna crank it here, because I need to get there. I wouldn't say as fast as possible. I need to get there using as little fuel as possible. Unfortunately, we apparently start with exactly the same amount of fuel that we usually do. The downside being that this is way further away. So I guess if I was being a good astronaut, I would probably take my time. But I am not a good astronaut. The reason being that I believe, like, inertia is not going to cost us that much fuel. Moving forward, at least. I'm not sure. I'm sure this game models it fairly realistically, but I'm not sure whether, like, when you're thrusting to adjust your pitch and your yaw, the direction you're facing and whatnot, your roll, whether that uses nearly as much fuel as just your thrusters. Like, you can see I'm using a ton of fuel here just to maintain enough power to hover. So we're getting fairly close to our moon base here. For all that I've said about this game so far, I think the best compliment that I can give it is that I don't think there's any games like it on Steam. I mean, there is that moon base simulator or something. I can't remember what it's called. One of my friends is, like, really into space. Not in a, like, 4th grade, he likes reading Isaac Asimov, but, like, he's going to school for space science right now, like, post-grad. And he played it, and he said it sucked. But, you know, there's not a whole lot of these kind of, like, NASA training programs out there. Not to belittle what is probably a very difficult, you know, rigorous training program to actually go into space outside of the virtual world of Gabe Newell's Steam. Gabe Newell's Steam sounded like a, I don't know, some kind of disease. So we are going to reduce our velocity here, because we are getting fairly close. We've used almost half of our fuel. I still can't see. Oh, this is a transport mission. That means I probably just have to land here. I don't actually have to turn around, which is fine. Let's try it. Okay, so we're going to reduce our velocity. If I fail this mission, I really have no one to blame but myself, because this was like a straight shot from Moonbase Alpha to Moonbase Sapa. So we're going to reduce our velocity even more. We're going to cut power a little bit just to get downward vertical velocity, which will allow us to dive a little bit. Yeah, let's just continue diving a little bit more. I'm not sure what that bing was for. I think it might be that I'm about to collide with this thing over here. So I'm going to reduce velocity very low, maybe like half a meter per second. Keep going down, down, down. Red Knight's going down. There we go. Half a meter per second. We might need to up it just a little bit more. Let's go 3/4 of a meter per second. Apologies to you if you don't understand metric. Imperial scum, but this game does deal in metric, which I think is good, so we don't make any kind of unit errors that could cause the destruction of very expensive equipment. Just gonna very slightly adjust our yaw so that we're facing this landing pad a little bit more. And I think, okay, we're about a minute away from landing. Let's reduce our power consistently so that we continue to fall at maybe even a bit faster of a rate. So I'm just going to keep following our nav point here. Try to get that crosshair lined up with the middle of it. It's got to go up a little bit. I think that's good. Just our yaw a little bit more to get that crosshair smack dab in the center. Okay, this is possible. This feels good. I'm probably going to want to increase my power a little bit soon and decrease my velocity greatly. Okay, so let's decrease our velocity. And I feel like I need to increase power just a little bit. I may actually land on this landing pad. I can't believe it. Okay, we're only about 13 meters away. Reduce power even more. Okay, I'm almost out of fuel. That's okay, we're almost landed. So we're just gonna keep this up. I think this is the smoothest landing I've ever done in any video game. I'm calling it right here. Okay, our crosshair at the bottom has changed. We are very, very close. I'm going to cut power just a little bit. And I think we're going to touch down and not damage anything. Greatest player in history. Alright, so we got $930. We will just refuel our plane here. I'm assuming that I'm also getting paid. Actually, I'll probably have to click on my missions here first. Unload. Okay, let's unload our cargo. There we go. A couple achievements unlocked. Pilot's license, Crater Delta service. And I actually got a little bit of money, which is awesome. Actually, I got three achievements there. Awesome. Or achievement progress, I should say. So that is going to give me, take me out of debt a little bit. As always, thank you guys for watching. This has been Lunar Flight. If you like what you see, definitely pick it up. What you see with this is what you get, and I wouldn't necessarily say I'm having a lot of fun with this, but I'm intrigued, I'm like interested, I'm engaged in the gameplay. And for only $10, there's a lot of really impressive kind of engine stuff at work here. Like, the flying feels satisfying, unintuitive, and difficult, but that's still good, if you understand what I mean. Anyway, this has been Khan Academy, explaining liftoff, power to weight, vertical velocity, and inertia. As always, I will see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.